Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to talk about building a smart content moderation with for Drupal sites, which is also kind of a scalable and also AI powered. But before we do that, I want to start with my introduction. So my name is Prabhakar Singh, and I am a software engineer at Meta. Right now, I'm working on building LLM-based systems to detect spam across Instagram, Facebook, or Threads. Before Meta, I was at DoorDash. I was also in integrated space. I was in Dasher fraud domain, so where I kind of built comprehensive solutions to design and develop detecting Dasher fraud across DoorDash space. And before that, I was at Oracle for 6 years in content management LCM world. So where I was basically responsible for managing the whole life cycle of content creation to till deployment and setting up the infrastructure for that. So with that, let's get started on this one. So before we dive into agenda, I want to talk about why this topic matters. Nowadays we are seeing explosion in user-generated content, right? For example, Facebook or any kind of social media app, you are seeing billions of content getting created every day, and that's why community trust and security are kind of business critical problems now. It's no longer just for community; it's also a business important because that's how the site builds trust. And of course, manual moderation is not very scalable. So we have to kind of dive into AI solution, which can help us from there. So the agenda for today is what is AI, how AI will be used in Drupal content moderation, and then what are the modern moderation challenges, and then we'll go through AI powered moderation architecture, and then what are the Drupal integration options we have, and then we'll also see a real time content analysis implementation and a demo as well. And then how this spam detection should be able to work with the multi-language cross-country as well, and then how the feedback helps later with the community feedback helps with the improving these systems, whether it's ML models or AI systems. The community feedback always helps, and of course, in this world, we have to be very cognizant about privacy. Whenever we run any kind of moderation, we have to make sure we are not passing any sensitive information to the systems. And then many cost-effective strategies as well that we can explore. And then finally, I will leave you with the next steps and resources. So let's deep dive into it, right? So before anything, we need to understand why moderation matters, right? And even before that, we have to I know everyone knows what is content moderation. Just want to bring it up here. Content moderation is basically managing and the content, the user-generated content on the online platforms, and basically to protect human, society, and also to protect the site's reputation as well, right? Drupal specifically it provides a great amount of flexibility to support high volume of user-generated content, and also it's basically we have to we have to protect brand reputation and ensure compliances. So that's why this moderation becomes even more important. But why AI? Human moderation doesn't scale with past certain point. So while AI can provide 24/7 real-time filtering, consistent decisions and learning as well over time. So we'll keep this session focused on how to integrate these modern tools, AI tools and techniques in the Drupal sites, enabling those intelligent content moderation that can also scale with the site's growth. But in order to appreciate these AI values, we must first look at what are today's challenges, right? We are seeing increasing amount of sophistication in spam and malicious content. I come from Meta, so I see the different types of and this domain. So I see a lot of contents which are kind of, and also it's adversarial in nature. So which is kind of very fixed patterns, but they are changing with time, and the spammers are getting very, very intelligent over time. So the sophistication is definitely increasing from past to nowadays, and also it's very the volume and velocity has to keep up with the traffic. Like we are seeing billions of content. Maybe earlier it was not that much now, but now we are seeing a lot of content being generated. So we have to make sure we are keeping up with the traffic, and also with this is not localized to one country or one region. It's more kind of multi-language as well, right? You have to support cross boundaries as well, and we have to also avoid overblocking. So we have to make a proper balance between system moderation as well as the human oversight. And like I said, the compliance like GDPR or CCPA, those are compliances which analyzes. We have to make sure we are ensuring those compliances while having this managing the user content. So let's look at how the architecture will look like for the AI-powered moderation. So I'm talking about, let's say, a user submits. We can understand from this an example, right? So let's say you are developing a forum for fostering, communication of your favorite, favorite football or any games, favorite sport, and then you want people to collaborate on that, provide their feedback, and it's basically just a community, community way of to understand how things are and on that domain. So let's say you are creating this forum, and then users are basically posting posts, or it could be they're posting comments or any content through the Drupal kind of integration like forms or web forms or any kind of thing, right? And we send it for for AI analysis, for the content will be processed through ML models that will evaluate the text, which could be for toxicity or a spam score, any kind of thing. And there are decision engine, which kind of they combine multiple rules, it could be a machine learning model rules, it could be heuristic rules, it could be a different bunch of things, and they have different thresholds. They combine this kind of risk engine, they combine a bunch of different rules into basically a scoring system. And then finally, once we have a score, we can decide what action to take, whether to approve, it could be automatic approval of the content or rejection, or even for human review. Sorry.
So when you talk about content, is that only text or audio, video?
It could be anything. It could be text. It could be multimodal. It could be video, images, anything. Even a shot from the movie, any movie. It could be anything, literally anything. Yeah. And yeah, so action layer you can auto approve and reject or whatever queue for the human review. So I want to emphasize here, we can tune the threshold, right? We can combine multiple rules and always keep humans in the loop for the edge cases. So that's very important. We already have a lot of Drupal integration options. These are the contrib modules. You can say Akismet, which is kind of very basic spam filtering integration. Let me just show you. So it just filters, it has a very basic rule which we can use. We can integrate with the Drupal sites, and then filter for a spam. It's trained on those many contents, So this is something we can use. So this already existent there, and we have something called Mono, which is like a legacy. And reCAPTCHAs, which kind of focuses on basically limited for sophisticated scan, and also Drupal itself has kind of core workflow management, content moderation. There are also custom integration, you can directly call API to services like OpenAI, AWS, or Azure, and they can have custom queue management. Basically, if something gets flagged, where you want to put those, and then there are also workflow specific rules you can set for your community, and then and that's how the custom integration could work. But often the best solution is hybrid, which leverages kind of contributed modules and enhance with the AI for a smarter triage. So that's what I think we should be focused. We will focus on today's demo later. So as usual, you should your implementation strategy should always consider the community size, like what is your who is your target population, and how much volume they are going to generate, like content volume, and of course like specific risk factors, like it could be applicable to you versus another, may not be applicable to some other use case. So let's move on to like how this implementation will look like. So there is a very this is a hook like we have. So the effective AI moderation will happen at the content submission time. So we have I think Drupal provides a hook there, like a hook entity presave. So when you submit a content, there is a hook entity presave that gets invoked. So we can call it here, for example, like if entity type is a comment, or if entity type ID is node and entity is forum, it's a post, and then you can get the value of that whatever submission is there, and then you can send it to AI service. This could be anything up your choice. There could be multi AI services as well. Like if one goes down, the other should be there for backup or whatever based on cost. And then the result will have some kind of a scoring there, and it's very straightforward. Like if scoring goes between this threshold, whether you want to do further review or you want to auto approve or auto reject. So it should be very simple implementation. So let's look at actually there is a free OpenAI moderation documentation here. So we can just quickly walk through like how we can integrate this one on our existing work websites. So this is the moderation API provided by OpenAI. So it basically identifies potential harmful content in text and images, and it's free. The good thing is it's free to use. So something to try on. So for example here, and these had two models of this endpoint. There's a latest one and legacy. So what I would do is like you can pass it. Look at this example here. So for example, we have a text. We can pass some text here, like what do you want to classify, and then it will output some response. So here is an example of a single, like even it can, like I said, it can analyze any multi-model, right, images as well. So it is a single frame of war movie, and then basically it's trying to say what it is, and it's classified as a violence equals to true. And this is a sample output how it will look like from this moderation, OpenAI moderation API. And there are multiple categories it can classify into. So you can get that what category it classified in categories information, and then this is basically what are the categories here, like harassment, threatening, hate threatening, illicit, or a bunch of other things. So this is something nice to try. I mean, it's also free, so something you can try. And let's try with the demo actually here, like that I have prepared just for this presentation. So let's say, so this is the I'm calling it AI Content Guardian. So it has a bunch of features which we can loop into here. Like it has real-time spam detection, multi-language support, and it also supports the moderation queue. Like if you want to put something, like if you're not sure you're going to put for human review, the queue, it supports queue as well. And then it has also privacy compliant processing and scaling needs. So here, so for example, let's look at the demo here. So for example, if you just click here, and if let's say, hello everyone, we're excited along this new discussion space, it seems benign, right? And that's what it recommends. That is what it returns, right? So the confidence score for AI is like says 80%, and it's approved. The sentiment looks positive. So it's basically good to publish or good to move. And also gives you some like timing, like how much time it is taking, so that you can do some latency analysis, and for that reason. And then for example, if you put something like hey, like for any spamming like buy now, something like that, right? This looks very spammy content. I mean, no one will say buy now, and that will be as a flag for the review. And there could be some bad which can be outright rejected as well. And this gives you more, like for example, and whatever the flag review that can go into one of these queues where which shows what is the status, what is the sentiment, and also some action that can be done, that can be taken from here. So for example, if you just approve this, there's a flag review. For example, if you just approve it, then it says okay, and it moves from the queue and moves back to the all or approved queue. So this is something This is something which I built for this demo purpose, but it's very easy to build this tool using. The main thing is important, like the AI services that we are using, and just make a call for that. So yeah, it's implementation guide for this. If you want to try with this, I already have published this in GitHub as well, so you can try there, and the other APIs as well. To analyze the content and put in the queue and update the status once it is moved from approved to whatever, so flagged to approved or blocked. So let's move on. Like for multi-language spam detection, right? So what's the context here? So it is, as we know, there are different spam tactics for that vary across languages, across countries, and standard filters usually miss those specific patterns. Like if you have like English-based filters, it won't be applicable to some other country languages, some other languages spam. It may not be able to detect it nicely. And there are also transliteration and Unicode obfuscation. And then there are also cultural differences, of course, like some content could be acceptable in one and some content may not be acceptable in other places. So for that, what we can do is like we can take a language detection first as a first pass. So get the lang ID, like what it is points to, maybe translate into like English or language which these systems are working well and they haven't tested well. And then we can apply the language specific ML models or rules whichever are available for that. And we can set different threshold as well for each of these languages. So maybe something is more sensitive in some culture and for some country and may not be that much sensitive in other country, right? So we can have different kind of threshold. And also the specialized human review per language we can set up. So like at DoorDash, what we did was we had, whenever someone was getting like the dasher was getting flagged for the review by our risk engine, we are kind of putting in the queue and we are kind of translating, let's say they are from Mexico, and then they kind of translate that as Spanish into English, and then so that reviewers who are mostly trained in English, I think they can also understand those, and then take appropriate action on those flags. So that's why this thing is we have to, for global communities, like implementing a language-aware moderation is very important because it not only improves the accuracy, but also reduces the false positive across diverse user population. It's very important to learn from the community feedback or from the moderator's feedback, and because feedback data goes back in retraining the models, and it further improves the model actioning. So initial moderation, what happens is AI kind of evaluates those content based on the current rules and models, and then if it flags, if it auto approves, or even if it auto approves or auto rejects, we can have some kind of sampling way, like we do at current company, like we do sample and then see what is the performance of those decisions, right? Is it enforcing correctly? Is it approving correctly? Like we can measure those as well. But for like which are outright kind of which are borderline cases, we put the human review in process, and then human review can take action and then put that. We can record that decision and then put back the model can use those data for their training in the next iteration. So that way it's the model can continuously improve from this feedback from the moderator or even the community feedback, like we can take from users. If something is coming, let's say some content is getting flagged by many users, we can take that into consideration into thinking whether this is kind of violating the community guidelines or not. So the continuous learning approach, like help your moderation system adapt to evolving like adversarial spam tactics and also like unique community patterns, like and also improve accuracy over the time. So let's talk about like privacy conscious implementation, right? This is very important. So because whenever we send this data for analysis for this AI tools, we have to make sure we are only sending necessary data, like stripping out any personal identifiers, because there are many strict laws like in EU we have GDPR. Here in California we have CCPA. All those regulations are kind of protect the user data and how the companies are processing and how these tools AIs are using those data. So it's very important to process only information which is necessary for the analysis in order to meet those guidelines. I just want to make sure this should be privacy should be a trust driver instead of just a legal requirement. Legal requirement is one thing, but if you have this privacy in mind, I think many people who are using the website, they will trust you, and then will come back on your platform more often. Consent management is very important. Like we should have very transparent terms of service, clearing, outlining like, hey, what we are doing with this content analysis, and also provide an opt-in kind of approach. Like whether if you don't want to participate in this, I mean, if you don't want to post, for example, if I'm posting it, I should tell that, okay, I'm using your data. I may use your data for for analyzing this content. So if you give that terms of service upfront, I think that also will build trust and help with the privacy. And of course, like we use this data for training as well. So we need to make sure we have a strict retention policy. So for example, if a content is flagged for the review or it's denied publishing, we have to make sure and we are using that for training. We have to make sure they are paused after a certain period of time, like it's maybe 90 days or 30 days, whatever, depending on the policy. So that's what it should be, like a trust driver instead of just a legal requirement. We should think from that perspective. There are several cost-effective strategies that we can apply. Like for example, tiered analysis here means that we can just start with very cheap filters first. So which are basically rule filters or heuristic rules that can filter like for spam, like the example I was showing in the config models, right? We can use that. We can run through that first, and then AI towards the end, because AI is very costly. So we need to make sure we are using that effectively. So and that also should not short the cost of your organization. So make sure we do a tier analysis. The cost impact is like kind of medium, but effectiveness is very high, because if we use this tiered approach, that is what I think we also do. We have very lightweight models that kind of filters out the content first, and then if it's the bottleneck case, then we run through the LLMs to make sure to have this. Where we putting in the prompts, we fill in like specific policies and the community standard guidelines that we have the mental model, and then it's kind of to decide whether based on those policies and mental models whether it's spam or not. Another thing we can do is we can cache common patterns. So historically we know what are the known patterns that are coming in, and then we can basically do a caching on those, and they can immediately return it from there instead of going through the pipeline. Rate limiting is another tool we can use. We can rate limit for specific users. If you are seeing there are multiple, a user is posting multiple comments or posting a lot of things on the website, we can kind of rate limit them for by an hour, by a day. And that is the tool by all these companies, even social media companies, they use a lot to just limit the limit traffic, unless spammy traffic or any harmful traffic on the platform. And community flagging is very important. If someone is reported, I think recently Meta announced community nodes. So basically, instead of us doing a lot of moderation work, it's good to rely on the community, the people, the users of the platform, what they are saying about it. So they can put it, they can say anything if something is wrong, or put whatever their thoughts on it, and then the systems can take that in consideration and kind of act accordingly. So the cost is pretty low, but effectiveness is very high for this, because it's kind of crowdsourced, right? And then local APIs, I think we can explore that. But so these are the things I wanted to talk about, the cost-effective strategies. So I think most of the sites can be built, start building with less than $100 a month on AI services, and scale as the traffic grows. So it's important to start small and scale as needed. It's not you should not provision a very high number of GPUs, and just if you're not using them effectively, then it doesn't make sense to have them there. And talk about the next steps. So it's very important to audit like what your current vulnerabilities are. It could be you have like site-specific areas, and then and the content types that needs protection, more protection. So it's important to understand that pattern that is affecting the community. And the selecting the community stack is the next step. So if once you do audit, once you do like requirements gathering first, and then you have a technology stack, I think the best one that works is hybrid. So like I mentioned, there are some contributed modules like for ASCII.NET and all. We can use that for filtering a bunch of known tags, and then we can have some AI solutions now, which can, very even though they're expensive, but they're very highly effective and performant. So we can use that. And then we should implement in phases. So identify what are the highest risk areas we have. Like typically comments and user registration are kind of important area, because once if you start user from entering your system at the first place, you may not see that expanding. I mean, you may not see a lot of harmful content being spread on the platform. So we can put that as a highest risk area and start implementing in those, and then expanding to more complex type later on. So there's a quote there says like the best content moderation systems are those that user never notice. So it's true. I mean, the best moderation systems are invisible. The users just experience a healthy and safe content. That's it. I mean, yeah. Sorry.
I think it's very interesting that you mentioned user registration. Usually, when you register, you don't add buy more text in there. I mean, it's usually limited to an email address and name. What kind of filtering do you have?
Yeah, so there could be, so there are a lot of doctored emails out there. People can create, manufacture, this bot can create multiple emails and they can register. So we'll look for the links, like if there are any links with existing information. Let's say if you're asking for phone number, email or anything. If it's just email address, then we look for IP address, different other kind of headers and then kind of find if there is a linking, and we kind of build an identity graph, like given this IP address, given this email address, given this first name or last name, is there a linking with the existing system that has been already flagged for like bad behavior or they haven't been already deactivated from the platform. So if you build a profile, you can get build a graph, you can get that connection, and then you can flag those right away. Something we call UFAC system at Meta, like basically at user registration, when you try to create an account on Facebook.com, we right away block if we find this user could be suspicious.
Thank you.
So yeah, like I said, like it's very important. If the best moderations are invisible, so it's just if you can, users just don't have to. I mean, the good user should not be blocked, and the good user should not be blocked, and the bad user should always be blocked. I think if that is the ideal condition, but yeah, that's. And then I have some resources here, like I mentioned. This is the OpenAI. I think I went through this, and there's some Hugging Face transformer as well. So Hugging Face, if you don't know, this is kind of a library where you can discover, train your models, and also use those models. And then there are several ones for spam here, like very lightweight models which you can use for this. Moderation on the website, and there are some contrib modules here. There's a good one here, an anti-bot module, which already exists, so something we can look into. It's very lightweight module, like just to eliminate. I think just to catch the captcha, violation. But these are also getting very sophisticated. So like there are a lot of actually companies coming out there which are serving just to solve this captcha problem. So AI definitely can help there. And there's some official documentation tutorials about like for example event handling. So what time you want to integrate this hook for the moderation. It could be at any event that you like. At the best way is to before the content gets into your system. Whereas pre-save is the best place. But there are different events there out there which we can use and call these AI services at that point of time. And then, I think that's all I had. Any questions? Sorry, it was very short presentation. So, but any questions that Yeah.
Getting ready to class.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all I had to share. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
You mentioned you wrote some models from OpenAI to some things on presentation. Can we have some model which is like locally installed on server and we are not paying the companies for that, like Llama, Olama,
Yeah.
something that we tried?
Yeah. So there are a lot of open source models which we can use, like which you can run on your compute. And like Llama is very good open source. I think there are other ones like coming in like DeepMind and others. Like you can also you can basically fine tune as well. Like you can do both pre-training, during training, and also like post-training. It's kind of called fine tuning those models as per your needs. And but you have to pay somewhere to host those models, right? So that is some cost you have to pay, compute cost.
Cost of hosting.
Yeah.
So did you find any of, like in your research, did you find something which is suitable for content moderation, like which will be recommended?
Yeah, I think Llama 4 did pretty well. Like right now, we also use it for our use case. For Meta's AIs, for Meta spam detection, we have used Llama 4. We're also opening up with different like Gemini, Google Gemini as well. But right now, it's Llama 4 is heavily used inside. And then like even we have internal dev tool. Like for example, if you need any help with the coding, I mean literally that Llama can do that for you. And also we are using third-party products, for example, Anthropic's Cloud as well. But for internal use, like for DevMed is kind of a bot which kind of helps with all the internal. It has access to all the internal information, and if you throw at any question, it can help you answer in a structured way. So that's Llama using, and there are multi-models, but Llama is being used heavily there. And even for our use case, like a spam, we use Llama a lot because we sample this from billions to sample only 1,000, and because we are doing this measurement, so we run this continuously. And we have bought compute, like GPUs from NVIDIA. So I think we have that frozen and we run those models on those computes. Yeah.
For the guardrails, for the PII, what do you use?
For the?
For redacting the PII before you send it to the...
Oh, the information, the private information for privacy? Okay, yeah. So there is a system that is called... the name of there is a whole system built in. Like for this is not a place for anything. This is not only for content moderation. It's only for diff reviews. Like if you are raising a PR or any kind of thing. So that system basically looks for. We have well-defined set of what are the personal identity. Like we have to categorize this data into like different categories. DSS. Like so highly sensitive data is there is one. One is like business critical. There is one public one. So different categories. So all the identifiers are defined there, which are sensitive, which are not. And then basically that system already filters out all those information which sees that. And if it is like, for example, a database table, it will just kind of obfuscate all